Hi, Kingdom Kids. This is Miss Yeska, and today we are talking about how Jesus calls upon the disciples. So, after Jesus got baptized, he went to the desert, and after he came back from his fast, his 40-day fast, oof, I'd be hungry, super hungry by then. After Jesus came back from his 40-day fast, he started calling upon the disciples. And the disciples were able to see Jesus work his miracles. They were able to see how he helped others. And more importantly, they were able to learn from Jesus himself. And so we can do the same thing too. We can learn about how to follow Jesus. But sometimes it can be hard because how can we follow Jesus when we can't see him? That's a really good question to ask. So we'll be talking more about that. So we are learning about Jesus calling upon the disciples and how they were able to learn directly from Jesus. So how do we follow Jesus when we can't see him? Well, Romans chapter 10, verses 9 through 10 says, if you openly declare that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For it is by believing in your heart that you are made right with God, and it is by openly declaring your faith that you are saved. So that means that anyone who believes in their heart, who truly believes in their heart that Jesus is Lord and declares their faith to others, can say that they are followers of Jesus. But what does that mean for how we live? Well, how can we follow Jesus's actions when we can't see him? Well, even though we can't see Jesus, we can read all about how he lived in the Bible. The books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John tell us all about Jesus's life and how he lived and his teachings and his miracles. For example, Luke chapter 2, verses 41 through 52 talks about a 12-year-old Jesus who went with his family to Jerusalem for Passover. He stayed behind at the temple because he loved God so much and he wanted to be at the temple all the time. So, what can we do to follow Jesus's example? Well, we can learn about God. We can also talk to others about God. And we can discuss with other believers about what we read in the Bible to get more understanding. In Mark chapters 2, verses 13 through 17, Jesus called upon Matthew and went to eat dinner with him at his house. And there, many sinners who also attended that dinner were there, as well as other people who were looked down upon. And the Pharisees asked, why is Jesus eating with such people? What did Jesus respond to that? Healthy people don't need a doctor. Sick people do. I have come to call not those who think they are righteous, but those who know they are sinners. So how can we show love to others? Well, we can be kind to others, even when they are not kind to us back. We can be a good friend, and we can show love to our families by obeying our parents and being a good sibling. Matthew chapter 14, verses 13 through 21 talks about how Jesus fed 5,000 with only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. So, how can we help someone in need? Well, we can do so by packing an extra snack or an extra water bottle and giving it to someone who needs it. We can also give that person something they need as long as we can provide it. For example, if someone needs an extra pair of socks and we happen to have some socks that we no longer use, we can give it to them. If someone needs an extra blanket and you happen to have an extra blanket, and if it's all right with your parents, you can give that to them too. We can help out those in need as long as we can provide it. Just make sure it's all right with your parents before you do it first. We can also let them know that God loves them and they need to get closer to Him. Because as we discussed last Sunday, God changes us from the inside out. The more we get to know Him, the better we do. The more He changes us from the inside, and the better we do. So it is important to get closer to Him. And we can also pray for them. Prayer does a lot of good. When we can't provide something, we can pray for someone and God will always answer. John chapter 13, verses 1 through 17 talks about how Jesus and the disciples went to celebrate Passover in Jerusalem. And before dinner started, Jesus began washing the disciples' feet. So how can we serve others? Well, we can do so by learning more about God. We can also serve others by showing them love and kindness. And we can also show love to others by providing something that others need as long as we can do it. We are followers of Jesus, and when we show the kinds of qualities He showed us, we show others. We help others, I should say. And the more we read about Jesus in the Bible, the more we know how to follow Him, even though we can't see Him. All right, Kingdom Kids, that's the end of our lesson, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. And think about ways that you can follow Jesus, that you can follow His examples, and make sure that if you're going to be giving something to others who are in need, make sure that you check with your parents first. You don't want to get in trouble. All right, have a nice rest of your week.